Hey guys, Ralph here. True Power Trumpet Fitness. Very interesting question in one of the forums today. Actually, it was yesterday. It sort of opens a Pandora's box of different things. So I'd like to get into that, at least scratch the surface of it, and get your guys' thoughts on it. So I played today. I had a busy day today. It's 3:30 in the afternoon, which is late. Usually I'm doing these things in the morning. So here we go. Let's play a little orchestral excerpt. My favorite, probably the most iconic trumpet solo, I would say, in the literature. And we'll get going. Anyway, picture on exhibition. The reason I do that because the question contains one of the premier orchestral trumpet players in the world today, and we'll get to it. Anyway, I want to make sure I get it right. So the question on the forum is, and I don't know you guys if you listen to it. Hi, Ralph. I was wondering what you thought of Rolf's warm-up. That's Tom Rolfs of the Boston Symphony. Rolf's warm-up at the 2-minute mark on the Boston Symphony warm-up video. I ask only because I see some differences in your tone color and in the way you hold the instrument. Thanks. A guy named Zev. Okay, and Zev is a tuba player, so I can see where some of these things crop up. Now, as far as the angle of the instrument, that's nothing. That means nothing. I know that a tuba is set in a place, and the person sort of, according to their facial muscles and everything, sort of works their way around the tuba being stationary. The trumpet, we are stationary, and we sort of tilt the trumpet according to our own personal teeth, our jaws, the lip muscles. Everything's different. So the angle of the trumpet means literally nothing. I have seen some of the craziest lip angles you can possibly believe, and the guys sound great. Up or down, whatever, and the guys sound fabulous. On the other hand, I have seen absolutely perfect, supposedly perfect lip angles, and the guys can't play a note. So there you go. So don't worry about the lip angle. The timbre is a different thing. Now that is a very conceptual thing. I talked a lot. I think all of us have a concept of the sound we want in our mind. And mine comes, I don't think, now I've said before that I thought the players of my generation, Mel Broyles, Herseth, Vacchiano, John Ware, were better players than the orchestral players of today. And I'm going to temper that a little bit and say I think it's a different concept. I don't think they were necessarily better, but they came from a different concept. Okay? Now, Vacchiano listened to Harry Glantz every single day of his life at Juilliard. Mel Broyles came from a military background and also used to sit in and play lead with Stan Kenton. Herseth could blow the walls down of Jericho. John Ware, today's player, and specifically Tom Rolfs, who is a wonderful player. Don't get me wrong. It's just a different concept, as you're saying. I'm not saying better or worse anymore. I'm saying a different concept. Today's player comes with a different concept. Now, he studied with a man named Vincent Chikowitz, who I never studied with. I was at one of his workshops at the New York City Brass Conference for Scholarships. I'm going to talk, 40 years ago. Okay? Now, he was a very, very reserved personality and a very, very reserved player, even though he played next to Herseth, who was just stronger than strong. He was a very, very reserved player. And again, just concept, one way or the other. He did play a little bit on his thing, and it was a very, well, he sounded like Tom Rolfs, is what he sounded like. And kudos to Tom Rolfs. It was more of a velvety tone than Herseth. And Herseth was the standard. Mel Broyles and Herseth were the standard. Herseth is much more centered, much more brilliant, much more, well, he came right out and said many times, the two people he admired most were Maynard Ferguson and Harry James. And on many things he played, when he really let loose, he sounded center and pure. And Mel Broyles, his Pagliacci, and all that are just legendary how strong he was. Now, the few things that I have seen, now I don't know Tom Rolfs. I'm sure he's a very nice guy. The few things that I've seen on YouTube, again, it's a very, very conservative approach. Very demure is what I can say. He was with the Boston Symphony under, for the most part, Seiji Ozawa, who had a much different concept of sound than Schulte had in Chicago. Schulte just let them rip, let them go, just release the hounds and let them go. Ozawa was much more reserved, okay, which probably has something to do with his approach. Now, he's been there, I'm going to say Rolfs now, has been there 20 years, so obviously they like what he's doing, and that's fine, but it is a different approach. And when you're talking about timbre, I think that's what you might have picked up on, okay? Again, my approach is old school, if you want to call it that. I'm sort of proud of that. If you want to call it that, and new school. And Rolfs is not the only one that comes with this concept. That's what I'm saying. A lot of different trumpet players. Now, I think there's another trumpet player in the Boston Symphony, also studied with Chickowit. Chris Martin and his brother at the New York Philharmonic via Chicago. Again, comes with the exact same approach. I don't know if he studied with Chickowitz or not. I haven't looked into Martin, but their concept is exactly the same. It is not the same concept as Herseth and Mel Broyles and John Ware. Okay? Actually, Mark Gould was doing an interview a while ago who sat next to Mel Broyles for a long time. He said the same thing. He said the exact same thing, that the sound is absolutely different, that is not as strong. And again, he quoted Mel. I mean, he talked to Mel. And I mean, he sat next to him for how many years? And, you know, the power is absolutely not the same. I think concept has most to do with it. And I think a lot of it has to do with there just plain weren't as many avenues to play anymore. The guys back then, Mel Broyles used to play big band lead all the time. He used to go on studio dates with Doc Severinsen. Herseth, before he went to the New England Conservatory, his only real background was playing lead trumpet in one of the military jazz bands. I mean, he's a very, very strong player. So we can go on and on with this. It is a different kind. Tom Stevens, another oldie but goodie. He used to play Latin jobs in New York to make money. I mean, high Latin lead. These guys I don't think, did that. I think it was just symphony, and that's all there is to it. Now, they're doing a good job, and that's the concept. Another guy, the guy in San Francisco, and I'm not pronouncing his name right. Ennue, is that right? Again, terrific player, but knock the walls down. Power, he is not. He is not. So Zev, once again, you know, choose what you want. I like the all-around sound that I grew up with. That was in my mind. Obviously, these younger guys have come up with a different approach. But I think that's what you were talking about. And the timbre and whatnot, it is a different thing. And horn angle, don't worry about that. That's nothing. That's nothing. Now, again, I don't know that much about Tom Rolfs and Chris Martin. Could they play lead trumpet in a top jazz band like Herseth and Broyles could? I don't know. I don't know. I know the handful of times I've watched the Boston Pops in the recent years, they have brought in a lead trumpet player if the part was too high. Vince DiMartino came in. I know that John Williams, when he comes in and plays his Hollywood type stuff, brings what's his name, Morrison, with him. So Chris Martin, high lead player, I don't think so. Hooten in Los Angeles, who might be a little bit stronger than them, high lead player, no. Anyway, San Francisco, no, not a high lead player. Now, don't get me wrong. Why should they? But when these guys, my idols, came up, all these things, concert band, military band, outside band, was available to them, and they played. They could do it all. They could do it all. So I think, again, Zev, that's what you're hearing. And I'm reining back my saying one was better than the other. I'm going to say the concept was markedly different today than it was back then. Okay, so that's that. Again, I'm going to be gone all weekend, so there'll be no vids. I'll be back on Monday, and we'll do this again. Okay, love you all, guys. Have a great weekend, and live your life with true power.